Hello, welcome to VAPA TV. My name is Belinda Casas, and I'm a cultural anthropologist and teaching artist with the VAPA program at UCLA. And I primarily work with textiles, fine arts, and poetry. And when I was a little girl, I was lucky enough to get to go to Guatemala, and that's where I heard about our project for today, Guatemalan trouble dolls. See how tiny they are? So there's actually, according to legend, in Guatemala, Guatemalan children, when they were upset, they would share a worry with each doll. They would tell them the worry, and at night they would take them and put them in this bag, put the bag under their pillow, and when they went to sleep at night, they'd wake up in the morning and they'd find that the trouble doll had taken all their worries away. For this project, we're only going to need a few materials. We're going to need tacky glue, we're going to need a needle and some thread, we're going to need a little bit of fabric, some tissue paper, a little piece of pipe cleaner, some scissors, and a fine tip pen. So to start our trouble doll project, step one, you want to take your piece of pipe cleaner and you want to cut it into two pieces with one slightly longer than the other. So the longer piece is going to operate as your doll's body, and the shorter piece is going to be their arms. So leave the shorter piece to the side for the moment, we'll come back to that. Take your longer piece, get your strip of tissue paper, and you're gonna measure out while wrapping. So I'm gonna wrap this around tightly, and I'm gonna see how far it measures when I wrap it around 2 times. So once I've measured that out, I'm gonna hold my finger on the tissue, unravel it, keep my place, grab my scissors, and then I'm gonna cut just enough tissue so that it wraps twice around my pipe cleaner. So once I have my 2 cuts done, we're gonna move on to step 2. Then I'm gonna take my pipe cleaner and my tissue. Once again, I find it helpful to use my thumbs to get it to wrap around the pipe cleaner easily, but find whatever way works for you. So I'm rolling it around nice and secure, nice and tightly. Don't worry about a little extra fluff. So then I'm gonna hold this tightly together, and I'm gonna go ahead and open up my glue. I'm gonna take the back of my pen. I'm just gonna take a very small amount of glue. The glue's a little bit dry, which is not bad for this project because you just need a tiny bit, you see? Because the thing is, we're just gluing tissue to tissue, and with tissue paper, it's such a lightweight paper, you don't need very much glue. One little smear of glue on there. Then you want to take it and very, very tightly pin that down, secure it, okay? You're gonna end up with something that looks kind of like this. Now we're gonna move on to step 3. So you see this little extra bit we have at the top? With this wire, with this pipe cleaner, there's actually a little bit of wire in there, and it can be a little bit pokey on our fingers. So what I like to do is I take the top, and I'm actually just going to use my finger to bend it down and pinch it to the body of the doll. You see, and what that's going to do is it's going to create a little bit of hair on the top there, okay? So then we're going to take, you remember that smaller pipe cleaner? We're going to grab that smaller pipe cleaner, we're going to lay it on top, and what I like to do is I leave a little bit of space, right? We just made the head with the hair, a little bit of space for your face and your neck, and then come the arms. So I'm going to lay it across the top of my larger pipe cleaner with the tissue wrapped. I'm going to take one of those arms and I'm going to push it around the body, holding onto the front. Then I'm going to take the other arm and I'm going to twist it around to the other side. So what that's going to do is it's going to leave you with almost like a cross-looking figure right here. And make sure you have the arms where you want it, because once you wrap it around, it's very hard to shift it up or down. Okay, so I'm gonna put this down for one moment while I grab my fabric. So we're gonna move on to step 4, which is adding our fabric. So same thing with the tissue paper, we need to make sure we use the right amount, we don't wanna waste it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my doll and going right up against the arms, we're gonna start wrapping the fabric to measure it and make sure it'll go all the way around the doll. I'm going to take a little cut, and that's all the fabric that I'm going to need. So while I'm holding this, I'm going to continue wrapping the fabric all the way around until I'm happy with the location. So I like to have the end of the wrap be in the back. From this point, I want to keep this fabric where it's in place because I'm happy with it. So what I like to do is to have my hands free. I'll use a little piece of something heavy to hold down my doll while I'm getting my thread together. So for step 5, we're going to be using this thread. So I'm going to collect as much thread as I think I'm going to need. And when you're collecting your thread, more for this project is better than less. Because if you run out of thread, you're going to be in trouble. If you have too much, you just cut off the excess. So I'm happy with this amount of thread. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to very carefully, while holding the fabric, remove my little weight. And while I'm holding the fabric where it attaches, I'm going to take a little tail of the thread, I'm going to put it over the top, and the idea is that little tail is going to get wrapped up in my wrapping, so I don't need to make a knot. That's going to secure my fabric to my doll. You do need to make sure you hold on to that tail for your first wrap though. I just let go and it tried to jump away from me. So holding on to this, you're going to start wrapping nice and tightly. Make sure you wrap up that little tail. There it goes. So I'm going to wrap and wrap and wrap until I feel confident that my skirt is securely attached at the bottom underneath the arms. I feel pretty confident that that feels secure on there. So after that point, you have a lot of leftover thread. What I want to do is then I'm going to move up to the arms, and I like to go in kind of a crisscross pattern, a figure 8 if you will, around the arms. And what that does is it lets you get up to the top. You can also go in kind of a diagonal, almost as if you were making a sash for the doll. You can go this direction too. And then flip to the other side, and that'll help make the top part of the shirt for your doll. If you wanted to make it a little turtleneck, you can even put it a little bit around the neck. Then once you're happy with how much you have on the top, I want a little bit more in the middle of the torso here. Yeah, there we go. Then you go and you wrap down the arms, leaving just a little bit at the end that's going to act as little pom-pom for the hands. So then I'm wrapping all the way down the arms and then all the way back up the arms. You want to take a little bit of an excess on your thread. I'm just going to leave that little tail. I'm actually going to take and put my doll down for a moment. Then I'm going to take my thread and put it through my needle. There we go. You don't need to tie it off, just that little bit of thread will work on its own. Doll's head got a little bent here. And to tie it off, you just want to take in a few pieces of the yarn, or the thread, that you wrapped around. And then you want to just go through and loop the bottom loop that you have, pull it through, holding onto that thread. You don't want it to come off the needle. And just one more of those little knots in there and your doll will be nice and secure. So I'm just going to go through, pull it through the loop one more time. Nice little knot. I'm just going to trim the excess of this. Okay. Then for your final step, number 6, you're going to go ahead and take your fine-tipped pen and you're going to just put a little expression on your trouble doll's tissue paper face. Little smile, a little shock, whichever expression feels right for you. And then there you have it. Little trouble doll.